joined here today by a victorious Alejandra Lara, who's coming off a big win over Taylor Turner at Bellator 225. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I understand right now that you're in Italy. Where are you at in Italy currently?
I'm here for training. I used to come here for a kickboxing training camp, and I was doing a seminar in Chiusinatico. It was a combat camp, and it was a very um, nice experience.
So this isn't like a vacation for you, so is this purely business?
It's like both. I'm always training. I don't want to stop, but yeah, a little bit of vacation and eating
Right.
free.
I mean, you have to celebrate the big victory, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
And how is training in Italy different than, say, maybe in Colombia or even in the United States? I mean, do you see a lot of differences with the training?
Yeah, sure. I used to train in Latin America, not just in Colombia, because I had to go out for yeah, looking uh, top level and good sparring and more experiences, and also in USA. And in America in general, we can find a top level in wrestling and jiu-jitsu everywhere. But here, I feel the experience in kickboxing or Muay Thai is very high. It's very uh, uh, yeah. I can learn a lot here in that part.
So how do you do your training camps? I mean, do you do a part of it in Italy, maybe a part in America for sort of the ground game and the wrestling? I mean, how do you sort of mix it up for your camps?
Yeah, this year it was a lot of traveling. I was at the beginning in Colombia. I used to go there for visiting my family. I approached to train a lot of jiu-jitsu overall. And then when I came here, I was doing kickboxing and Muay Thai, but also everything. I mean, I could find a very good sparring in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but when I go to Mexico, I train a lot about my sparring, and also it's in Mexico in Team Grass in Guadalajara where I'm training, where I have my training camp, official training camp, and there is my head coach, and I have also a very good wrestling coach, and yeah, fight, the plan for the fight, and yeah, that.
And we know that being that you're in Italy, of course, the language over there is Italian. I mean, do you speak Italian at all, or are you kind of relying on sort of English and Spanish?
Actually, I feel that I can speak better in Italian than in English.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel that I have improved a lot in my English for the interviews that I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's the challenge, but I was studying Italian, and yeah, I love languages, and
Yeah.
I feel good speaking Italian.
And what's your strategy for learning multiple languages? I mean, do you work with someone specifically? I mean, what's sort of your way to add all these languages?
Actually, I just learned in my cell phone with an
Yeah.
app,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, actually, English is I have never studied it like in an official course or something like that. I was always just listening to music and trying to write and watching movies with subtitles and
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because currently I live in France, and a lot of people they're learning English, and they all say the same thing. You know, they watch TV, they try listening to music. It seems everybody kind of has their own strategy, so it's interesting to hear kind of how your strategy is a little bit different as well.
Yes, it's the feeling. I love traveling, and I feel that it's very different when you can communicate with everyone. It's a very good also because when you do a martial art, it's a language that you speak and you can share with the world.
Yeah.
And yeah.
For sure, and we know your Bellator debut was back in Italy. I mean, how was that for you being able to make that Bellator debut in Italy and get to be in the country where you do a lot of your training?
Actually, that first experience was the one that opened the door to this part of the world.
Okay.
It was completely unexpected for me. It was a surprise, but actually, I was studying Italian
Yeah.
after knowing that, yeah, that it was supposed to do immediately. Yeah.
I mean, did Bellator know about this, or was it just like pure coincidence and it happened to kind of make sense?
No, it was a pure coincidence. I didn't expect that,
And so let's talk about your win. Obviously, it was a very dominant one, a very good victory for you. How did it feel to just go back out there and pick up the win?
I felt really different for this fight because the first I had a lot of time between my fights, and I was training and improving my level in every area. And the last two fights was very the tough fight that I had in my life. That one with Juliana and that one for the title. It was very, yeah, very hard fights. But I could learn a lot from that. And after that, I can feel like fear, and I was prepared for everything. And I felt stronger than ever, and I wasn't expecting less than that.
For sure. Did you feel a lot of pressure heading into this fight?
Yes, of course, a little bit, because I I feel that pressure that I can't lose one more time,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I feel that I was more prepared. So, yeah.
And let's talk about your performance a little bit. Obviously, it was a very dominant victory. Is that what you had in mind through your training camp? Is that what you planned to go out there and do?
Yes, it was all that I was training for. It was my plan, my strategy. All that I was training for, it was the fight. The wrestling part, it was very important for this fight, and I felt that power, that strength, and I just feel really strong. And I was expecting to have a fight a little bit longer, but it was perfect like that.
And one thing I do want to ask you about is, of course, your fight nickname. It's Azul, and somebody was asking me, they're like, well, the nickname's just Blue. What's the reason behind that? What's the explanation behind your nickname?
Well, Azul, that means blue. It's my nickname since I have 11 years old because I had like an obsession with this color. That it's a thing that you can see in the history in other persons. It's pretty much normal. I don't know, but it starts for that for the likes for the like for that color, and now have more meanings because represents my artistic part. And when you think in blue, you think in the sea, you think in the sky, and everything. I feel that represents me. When you think in the sea, you can see that it's deep, that it's calm, but it can be really dangerous also.
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation. I don't think anybody could have a better story behind their nickname for sure. I mean, the sea is dangerous. It's perfect. And obviously, the win, like I mentioned, it's a big one. But one thing we did notice during the fight is we were wearing red gloves. Is there maybe someone you can talk to about Bellator? I mean, keeping the blue gloves since that would make more sense at this point.
I would love to fight always with the blue gloves that I can choose.
Yeah. For sure. What does this fight do for you at this point in your career? Does that put you kind of back in the top 10, back in the talks for a title shot? I mean, does it get you a big fight next? What did this victory do for your career?
I think this fight was the opportunity to have a fresh start, to being more like calm and secure. And now I can start again. I know that everything depends that how the next fights uh, happen. And yeah, that's it. I'm waiting. I'm open to the possibilities, and now I'm just expecting to win my next fights, and I enjoy what I do. That is the important thing.
And when do you expect to get back in the cage? Do you have an idea when you'd like to fight again?
No, not yet. I'm just expecting to fight the soonest as soon as possible, because I feel like fresh. I feel trained. So I'm just waiting to be confirmed this year, hopefully, but I don't know yet.
And I have just one more for you, keeping in mind when we'd like to see you again. Is there an opponent you'd like next? Somebody that you think would help you in your career and get to that next level? Do you have someone you'd like next?
No, I really don't like to say because as I say, I'm open to the possibilities, and I hope in one point maybe two fights next to fight again with Lima for the title. That rematch will be awesome, and I feel a different fighter for this time.
For sure. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what's next for you. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. And have fun in Italy.
Thank you.